Hi, today we will explain the storyline of the movie titled Carried Away, which was released in 1996. Okay, let's get right to the story. Joseph Svendin lives on a farm with his terminally ill mother. Due to the peaceful environment where he lives, he doesn't experience many exciting events. Every day, he wakes up early to milk the cows and works as a school teacher. He also has a fiancée named Rosalie, who is also a teacher, and she has a teenage son named Robert. One day, while teaching history, a new senior student named Catherine appears. That evening, Rosalie and Joseph finish dinner while discussing their future careers. This year is Joseph's last year of teaching, while Rosalie has received a job offer far from their home. Rosalie has not yet decided whether to accept the job or just become a substitute teacher, so she asks Joseph for his opinion, who tells her that she is free to do whatever she wants. She then changes the subject, thinking that they should get married soon, but Joseph cannot make up his mind. The next day, Catherine and her father, Nathan, visited Joseph at the farm. He introduced himself as the new neighbor. Nathan said he had heard that Joseph might be able to help him take care of Catherine's horse, and he offered $175 a month to keep Catherine's horse at Joseph's farm. Without hesitation, Joseph agreed. Nathan then asked his daughter to come home, but Catherine didn't want to leave yet because she wanted to play with the horse before parting. Joseph offered to take Catherine home later, and Nathan finally trusted him. While putting the horse in the stable, Catherine asked Joseph for permission to visit every day to see her horse. Joseph then said that this year would be his last year teaching there. In short, they then drove to take Catherine home. On the way, Catherine told him that she wanted to study acting in New York or Chicago. She also asked what Joseph's plans were for next year, but Joseph hadn't made any plans yet. Joseph humbly said that his teaching and farming skills were nothing special, but Catherine believed there was something Joseph was good at, and she wanted to find out what it was. To make a long story short, the next day, Joseph returned from hunting, where Dr. Evans was visiting to check on Joseph's mother. While escorting the doctor to his car, Joseph asked how his mother was doing, and Evans said there was no improvement, and it might even get worse. Joseph then asked how much time she had left, and the doctor replied that it might be 6 months or less. The doctor added that he could arrange chemotherapy to extend Joseph's mother's life, but Joseph said that wasn't a good idea. The next day, Catherine stopped by Joseph's horse stable to feed her horse. When Joseph called out, Catherine remained silent. It turned out she was lying on a pile of hay. Without expecting it, Catherine tried to seduce him, causing Joseph to rush out of the farm. To make a long story short, the next day, Joseph met Rosalie again. Here, Rosalie asked Joseph to propose to her immediately, but he found it hard to say. Joseph only said that he wanted to make Rosalie happy. Then, he returned to his own home. He was seen pressing some piano keys with a sad expression. In the afternoon, Dr. Evans stopped by Joseph's house to chat and give him his hunting rifle. The doctor said his body was no longer strong enough for hunting and decided to give the rifle to Joseph. Joseph rode off to try out the rifle, but the animal he was targeting suddenly fled upon hearing Joseph's arrival. Upon returning home, he went straight to the horse stable, where Catherine was again teasing him. That evening, Joseph entered the house where his mother was preparing dinner. He showed off the new hunting rifle given to him by Dr. Evans. He asked how his mother was feeling, and she replied that her stomach felt like it was being stabbed. But she didn't think it was necessary to call a doctor. Joseph's mother then told him to marry Rosalie immediately. It turned out that Rosalie had told Joseph's mother that she felt Joseph didn't want to marry her. His mother was sure Joseph was deliberately delaying the marriage until she died, but Joseph gave another excuse, saying he didn't have a new job to support Rosalie. Hearing this, Joseph's mother insisted he stop making excuses. The next day, Catherine tried to talk to Joseph alone. She flirted with him all day in language class. On her homework paper, she wrote that she needed Joseph. After school, she hitched a ride with Joseph. Joseph scolded her for flirting with him in class, but Catherine insisted that she wasn't trying to flirt with him. She admitted that she was pregnant, which immediately panicked Joseph. He slammed on the brakes and got out of the car, but Catherine laughed and said she was just joking. The next day, Catherine's father visited Joseph. He said he didn't have anyone to hunt with and wanted to invite Joseph to go bird hunting. He also heard that Joseph was quite skilled at hunting, so they took up strategic positions while talking about their hunting experiences. A few days later, the doctor informed him that he had just increased the dosage of Joseph's mother's medication. Here, the doctor suggested that Joseph inform his sisters because Joseph's mother had decided not to tell them, and Joseph felt that was the right decision. Meanwhile, Catherine stopped by Joseph's farm the next day, bringing him a drink. Joseph tried to divert Catherine's attention by asking about her mother, but Catherine became annoyed and called her a drunkard. She then tried to invite Joseph inside, but Joseph had already decided not to bring her in. Catherine thought Joseph no longer loved her, but Joseph denied it. Catherine finally asked him to promise not to tell anyone about their affair. Suddenly, the doctor walked in and caught them. Catherine panicked, fearing the doctor would tell her father. Joseph told her to stay calm, as he believed Dr. Evans wouldn't tell anyone. After being caught, Joseph approached Dr. Evans at the bar. The doctor felt disappointed in his reckless and immature behavior. The doctor asked how long they had been secretly seeing each other, and Joseph admitted it had been 3 or 4 months. He said Catherine had made the first move, but the doctor found that hard to believe. Since Joseph was 47 years old and Catherine was only 17, no one would believe Catherine had initiated it. Dr. Evans finally warned him that this would eventually come to light, but Joseph didn't feel remorseful. Instead, he thought it was a pleasant experience. He was certain Joseph would eventually regret it, but Joseph then suggested they talk about his mother. Dr. Evans said Joseph's mother wouldn't survive another month, and neither would Joseph and Catherine's secret, which would soon be discovered by Nathan, Catherine's father. The next day, Joseph invited Rosalie to lunch, where Catherine and Robert were also playing pool. Catherine looked at them jealously and asked permission to join them. Rosalie then asked her about Robert, and Catherine praised him politely, saying that Rosalie was a good mother and had raised Robert well. After that, she asked if she had talked to Robert, because Robert had been feeling depressed lately about Rosalie and Joseph's relationship. Joseph said it was none of Catherine's business, but Catherine felt it was her business because Robert was her friend. After that, Catherine apologized for her impertinence and left. A few minutes later, Joseph drove Rosalie home. Rosalie tried to get him to come inside first, but Joseph refused because he wanted to accompany his mother. Joseph's mother had already heard about his controversial relationship with Catherine. She said she had suspected Catherine since the first time she saw her at their house. Joseph said what he did was wrong, but sometimes being cruel was quite enjoyable. Hearing this, Joseph's mother complained that she felt unwell. Joseph eventually carried her to rest in the bedroom, saying he would call Dr. Evans, but his mother told him not to, saying she would get up tomorrow morning. In the middle of the night, Joseph decided to visit Rosalie's house. Rosalie asked Joseph to speak softly because everyone was asleep. She felt Joseph had been acting strangely lately, but it wasn't because he was worried about his mother. Joseph said it might be because of his age. He then told her about his future dreams with Rosalie, where he wanted Rosalie to love him as much as she loved her ex-husband. But that was actually the last night for Joseph's mother, as she passed away the next day. All of Joseph's sisters gathered to pay their last respects. After the funeral, Rosalie discovered Joseph and Catherine's secret. She found a note filled with words of love from Catherine to Joseph during the funeral service. Rosalie thought it was a condolence card, like the others, but when she realized what it was, she felt furious and confronted Joseph. It turned out that the note invited Joseph to sleep with Catherine in his house. Joseph tried to defend himself, claiming that Catherine was just acting childish. Rosalie felt deeply disappointed and felt herself wasn't good enough for him. She pushed him until he fell and left him. All the guests witnessed their argument and started gossiping. Catherine wasn't giving up. After the funeral, she approached Joseph, who was drunk. Joseph told her that Rosalie already knew about their relationship. Catherine apologized, but she was relieved that Rosalie finally knew because she wanted to marry Joseph. Joseph, annoyed, pushed Catherine. But a few seconds later, he felt regret and apologized, saying he loved Catherine but also loved Rosalie. Joseph then went to Rosalie's house and confessed he couldn't marry her and couldn't live under the shadow of her ex-husband for the rest of his life. Rosalie told Joseph to be quiet because she was afraid of waking her sleeping daughter. Robert asked his mother not to let Joseph stay at their house because he had betrayed her. They then talked at the dining table with Dr. Evans, where Rosalie poured out her feelings after learning about the scandal. Rosalie admitted she had been humiliated, and Robert added that the man had taken advantage of Catherine, who was just bored and going through puberty. He tried to defend Catherine as a friend and was convinced that Joseph had seduced her first. The next day, Robert asked Joseph in class what he knew about his late father, and Joseph replied that Robert's father was better than him in everything except fishing and hand-to-hand combat. Robert finally asked why his father had decided to leave him and his mother for the battlefield, and Joseph simply replied that his father needed a change of scenery. Robert then said goodbye, but before leaving, he told Joseph that Catherine's father already knew about their relationship and would be coming to see him soon. Sure enough, that night, Catherine's parents visited Joseph's house, trying to discuss the matter calmly. Catherine's father wanted to make sure Joseph wasn't carrying a weapon, so they talked in the living room while drinking. Nathan started talking about Catherine, because Catherine said that Joseph had told her that he would marry her. Was that true? Joseph replied that it wasn't true, and that it was a foolish decision. Besides, he didn't think he was the right man for Catherine, because she needed a rich, educated husband with a house in the city and someone of her own age. Nathan then explained that he had deliberately moved to the countryside to keep Catherine out of bad company and focus on her studies. His actions proved to be right. Catherine's grades improved. He just didn't expect something so unreasonable to happen. But Nathan tried to think objectively and didn't blame Joseph. He also agreed with Joseph that marrying Catherine wasn't a good idea. Meanwhile, Catherine's mother had the opposite opinion. She was very angry and slapped Joseph before going home. When they returned home, Catherine appeared. It turned out that Catherine knew her father was coming to talk to him. She felt upset when her father said Joseph wouldn't marry her, which broke her heart. Joseph tried to make Catherine understand that they cared about each other and had spent a happy time together. However, he realized that he was much older than Catherine and believed she had a bright future ahead of her. Joseph declared his love for Catherine, but he knew what was best for her. Catherine insisted that Joseph was the right partner for her. She persuaded Joseph to resume their relationship as before, but before they could finish their heartfelt conversation, Joseph suddenly saw their horse stable on fire. He immediately ran there and tried to save the horses, including Bolo, Catherine's horse. However, it was a futile attempt. The stable was completely destroyed, and only one horse was saved. Joseph then asked Catherine if she had done it on purpose. Here, Catherine honestly admitted that she had done it because she thought Joseph would save Bolo, but fate had other plans. He then took Catherine home and could only accept the situation. The next day, Joseph returned to Rosalie's house. He had broken into his coin savings and decided to marry Rosalie. Rosalie felt sorry about the fire at the horse farm, and Joseph tried to make amends with Rosalie. He felt he had disappointed Rosalie and wasted her attention all this time, while what he had done with Catherine was because he had been swept up in the moment. It felt the same as spending the night with Rosalie a while back. Joseph realized he wanted to keep being swept up in that moment with Rosalie. In short, Joseph and Rosalie eventually got married and spent the entire day at the beach, just as they had always dreamed of doing together.